want to start the first?
Hi, everyone. So, listen, thanks again for great presentations. Just really enjoyable, to hear these ideas you've got sort of come into fruition and listen to you talking through and coming up here to share them with us. And you did really well, actually. Really, really interesting and very diverse, I'm just going to get straight to the point, just leave each of you with just a question from me, just the main thing that came up. Starting with Joanna and George. I've got just two things really. One was just a small thing. I was wondering why one of your kind of metrics was looking at stylistic elegance. If you're looking for bias, that was just a curiosity. You mentioned that you were going to several things you were going to look at. One of them was stylistic elegance. I was wondering why that was included. But slightly more importantly is in terms of fact checking. I'm just wondering what kind of mechanisms are in place for who is watching the watchers, so to speak, because to avoid getting into the game of kind of claim and counterclaim, which we see in the kind of comments fields, below articles in the mainstream media about this particular issue, there's very heated debates in the comments, and it tends to go into claim and counterclaim. So what mechanisms you have in place for actually making sure that those sources of information are correct. And to ask Ilya, I didn't quite catch there was something, a development in the law about conflict resolution being in place in schools. There was some kind of new legal development which gives, a bit more of an impetus to your, just tell us what the law is and where exactly that's in effect. And for Swechya, I'd just like to ask you, because in terms of training the trainers, do you expect to encounter any kind of resistance? It's a very delicate situation, and emotions are running high, people are very fragile. I don't really know very much about society there. Do you expect to encounter any kind of resistance to these ideas, and how will that influence the way in which you train the trainers?
Regarding, maybe I didn't pronounce it well, but I meant stylistic eloquence, not elegancy. Eloquence. So since many of our country editors would not be native English, we have to have someone not fact-checking, but checking the actual stylistic, the good quality of the English, the eloquence of the English that is written.
Yeah, so that's really because we have country editors from all kinds of countries that we consider experts in the national media environments, but who have to critically analyze, their native language in a different language. This is why we don't only have two instances of correction, but the third one with a chief editor who should be a native speaker or approximating that. And to your second question, which is really, I think, pivotal for such a project, to safeguard for objectivity and for our sources. On the one hand, we have a very, very profound scrutiny of whom we actually accept as country editors. So far, we have 12 country editors spanning 10 countries. And all of these have to have a background, like a master background in economics, sociology, politics, or history. And together with us actually also go through the contextual details of the current conflict, as well as concerning the Ukraine and Russia crisis, actually also into history. And to be fully able to contextualize the current crisis, the media situation. On the other hand, the 6I procedure, evidently objectivity will always be, an illusion. Full objectivity, full empiricism is not possible, but through this approximation, through a dialectical juxtaposition of different views, different cultures, on a common denominator of high, of profound knowledge, we think we can approximate this to a far greater degree than conventional media.
Thank you for the question, sir. First, let me tell you that the condition right now is very pathetic in Nepal, especially when it comes to the matter of health, as it's being neglected. and the deprived groups are women and children. So I think people in those areas would love to have us working for them, and would like to have us there. So I don't think there will be any resistance. And in fact, they are mostly welcoming us. We have already talked to the health post and known about the levels there, materials required. It's very poor, and I think they would love to welcome us as well. Thank you.
Is it working? Yeah, finally. Thank you, Ms. Thomson, for your question. I'm going to give you some legal background on this topic. Actually, there is a mediation law in Russia. It was signed in 2010. It's been working in Russia for 4 years, for 5 years already. And last year, I think it was last year, there is a new mediation law. It's about mediation in schools. So every school has to have a mediation room, by obligatory. But due to some specifics of Russia, of course, it's sometimes they just cite papers that they did it, and school psychologists trying to do mediation, but they probably took online courses for like 5 minutes, printed certificate, and they trying to make it, and sometimes it's even worse than doing nothing, because they do it sometimes not in that way that it resolves conflict. It usually creates conflicts, even more. And actually, this project is about, because we had some presentation in schools already. They host at some public schools, they have money, not all of them, some. And they're ready to pay for this kind of consultancy. But they need the first steps to see what we got. So this budget that I had over on the screen, it's really a short one, but we wanted to create some books because we have really good experts, really talented one, skilled one. Some of them worked in USA for a long time, some of them worked in Brussels for a long time, in UK for a long time, so I have a really huge background on this. To make short films, short videos, supporting websites, so it's really long way. Actually, we had one conference already about school mediations, and we see that even school principals and school staff, of course, not of them, some, they really interested in it, they want it. But of course there is competition between different organizations, but I'm not a little bit not shy to say, but actually our experts are one of the best in Russia, because they've been doing this like from the very beginning, from more than 20 years. So if I answer your question, so yeah, thank you.
Professor?
So I would like to say one comment on everyone. First one, creating a blog and becoming a media, the difference is able to spot and create a board of advisors. So I encourage you to do that, to have a very solid editorial group of advisors that you have to have in there. If not, you are just a little blog. Okay? The minute you have a group of advisors selected, main journalist, a journal, some tax advisor, relevant people that are always guiding towards the future. I suggest that have a thought on that. That would be my first idea. To our doctor in Nepal. I think that you, since you have a medical experience, you focus your project very much into medical. I would why don't you encourage also mixing empowering women through creating wealth? So why don't you empower women whilst you cure them and you take care of that? Why don't you empower them by, for instance, making these groups visit companies, visit institutions, be next to people like you that have this presence magic that you had when you came to the audience. Congratulations by that. This also empowers women. So do that. Mix medical and empowering because it's needed. So I would like this. And then for Ilya, first of all, congratulations for being so critical with your country, because this is the way to be patriotic. The other way is stupidity. So it's critic, and this is when you show love for your country. So congratulations for that. My advice to you is when you make the SWOT analysis, and you put the O of opportunities of conciliation, I think that there is also an opportunity of conciliation with other universities. There is a need that the universities cooperate among themselves. So it's a need that a philosopher gets also training on business, and a businessman gets training on philosophy. That's also a conciliation, not only for people, but also conciliation in universities, that they don't fight against each other. No? So that it's my remarks.
Could I just quickly ask you? Thank you for your comments, and you suggested us to gain a group of counselors. Would they be financial counselors, communication strategy counselors? I didn't really understand your question. Could you please be more specific? Thank you.
Maybe we should discuss that outside if you want, and to give you more details. Actually, I belong to a group of those. In a media group, I am in the advisory editorial group. So I would tell you what's the story, how they create it. But, and that I think it plays an important role. You leave the world of blogs to the world of prestigious press. So when you can claim that you have a group of advisors there, that they guide you. So I will get more into the details if you want in private, okay, no? Because if not, people will get bored. Julia?
Oh, Petra.
Oh, Petra.
Is it working? Yeah? Well, first of all, I would like to say that all of your projects are inspiring, and thank you for interest to coming here. And I have a question for Swechya. Yeah, maybe I didn't understood, or you already said, but I would like to know, what about the possible partners for your projects? And you didn't mention the budget, like, what do you expect?
Possible partners would be Ministry of Health and Education. I've already talked to them, and since I'm working as a part-time in NGOs like Development Vision of Nepal, and I'm also an active member of Rotract of Kathmandu Medical College. It's a hospital where I've been working. We've organized various camps with nominal amount, taking nominal amount from people in the past as well, and I expect from them as well. So we don't have any problem regarding fund, as government is really enthusiastic to use the funds that have been received by the country during the massive earthquake. But the thing is that they do not have the ideas where to put those funds in. So I think with this project, I would like to do something for them, as I have full support from government, the hospital where I work, and from NGOs like Development Vision of Nepal. I've been working actively in this organization, which organizes various health camps, blood donation camps in remote parts of Nepal. Thank you.
More question? Julia?
So I have a question to Olivera and Georg, or George. Just the first one, why you focus on the Russian and Ukraine? And is there any places where is it, some kind of problems or conflicts? And this is the first one. And the second, how international your project have to be, or you're planning to make? And also the question to Ilya. First of all, who have to give you the permission to come to the schools if it's going to be the government institutes? Who?
I got a question.
So this is also takes some time. That's not so easy to come to the school, like regular school, and start to realize some program. All programs going through the Ministry of Education. So this is the case which you have to think. And for our last presenter, for our doctor, the idea very great. The idea very great, and I think that you need to find more people from your youth society who will help you there. Because just be alone, this is nothing. You need to make some team who will help you with this idea, to spread this great idea. So, please.
Okay, to answer your first question, why EU-Russia, Russia-Ukraine? There's a variety of reasons for this. So first, this is a project of passion, and growing up in Germany, I'm very much aware of the achievements that have been done over the first 2 decades after the Soviet Union collapsed between Western Europe and Russia in terms of diplomacy and so on. And I think this is one of the pivotal crises that our continent sees at the moment. So this is important. This is important. On the other hand, there is little other topics or issues that can so well show how the media operates in partisanship. This is, on the one hand, we see the re-emergence of discourses that have been very much contemporary during the Cold War, both on the Western and Eastern side, and we see things at the moment that wouldn't have been thinkable in terms of quality of journalism and factual inaccuracy only 5 years ago. So apart from the migration crisis that we see at the moment, which fuels different kinds of propaganda, but not on the same state-to-state, bilateral or multilateral diplomatic spheres, there is no issue of such relevance, topicality, and also kind of heuristic to show people what's going on and how the media ownership differs in the eastern and western part. And thirdly, there's also, so to say, we also looked at our target audience. I currently live in Belgium, before that in France and Germany and the UK, and all over the past 4 years. And what I see is there's a demand for this. A lot of people say the media is corrupt, so to say the media is propagandistic, particularly so with regards to... And it's true, yeah, evidently. There's always examples of good journalism. We want to focus on, mainstream partisanship, which is definitely an empirical truth. And so we also see there's a demand for it. There's a like-minded blogspot in Germany that focuses roughly on this eastern dimension, but not as specific as us. And it has a readership of 150,000 readers per month in terms of views per month. So there is a demand for that. And yeah. Voilà.
Ilya?
Can
I guess we give the word a bit to Ilya so he can answer the question.
Can I quickly answer just the last question?
Yeah. Okay. But as long as you were from the same project, so we were trying to divide time, like being...
Okay, I try to be fast as I can.
Short.
Short.
Yeah.
And productive.
Yeah.
So the point is that we actually have nothing in common with Ministry of Education about this project. Of course, there will be some legal issues of creating these rooms for mediations in school. As I said before, mostly all of the schools already signed the papers that, okay, we have this one. Yeah, like for other people, we have, so, but actually I have nothing there. So we face two problems, 2 ways actually, how to develop. One way, it could be a business with income, a profit, and another one is going to be a volunteering program. And the third way, of course, combine these two, because we already had one conference of teachers and school staff, administrators, and we had around 10 presentations in school showing what we can do. And mostly 95% of people were interested in it, and they were ready on the level of principals and higher administrative staff in schools. So it's a question of money. We're going to pay for this. So that's the point. Of course, some public schools have sponsors, but some, and they're ready to pay for this. But it's not often happens. So, have I answered your question or any? Okay, so thank you. And
Now we get back to the audience. Or really? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Your question was regarding possible partners, I guess, ma'am?
Not possible partners, like possible team.
Possible team. Well, I feel very glad to tell you all that we have active group of doctors, young doctors of about 25 to 30, where we have been actively organizing health camps. Without any personal motives, we have conducted various camps during the earthquake time and before that also, and organized conferences. I'm also a member of UNISAN, United Nations of Youth Association in Nepal, especially for medical students. We have been organizing via this organization as well, and we have been funded in the past as well and expect to be funded in the future as well by them as well. Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
I think all the three presentations were excellent. Yeah, I always keep short. The first question is to Elia. I was very much interested because something like this has been launched in Nepal as well with the name Kid Proof. They especially focus with kids' safety and security and so on. So I'd like to know if you are doing it only in school or your intervention is something different, whether in schools only or is it different? And the other one is like, I didn't get Swechya's budget, like clear picture of the budget. So could you please mention a bit? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So going back to the first question you asked, as it before we had experience, for almost 5 years we have this clinic working already, and we deal with any kind of conflicts. Actually, due to statistics, usually family conflicts due to parental conflicts, divorcing or something. Of course, we have also in business because the technique itself as mediation is so universal and flexible to any situation. If you know the rules, if you know the procedure, you know how to do it, you just like change the field because as a mediator, we cannot advise something. So that's why if we do business mediation, we don't have to know about business a lot. For example, like in schools as well, you don't have to be a teacher to face the mediation itself. And did I answer the first question? Yeah. And the second one about the budget. Now
the budget is for
Shenya.
Yes.
It wasn't for me. Okay. No, I'm sorry because that was me. Okay.
Thank you for the question. The total budget of my project is $10,000 as the most of the expenses would be on comprehensive training that would be conducted for female leaders, which include video demonstration and making them awareness programs and distribution of supplements, purchasing materials, and travel cost would be $1,000 as these two areas, Kokhana and Bugmati, are nearby the Kathmandu Valley, the capital city. However, these other areas very difficult to reach. So we cannot reach there in one day. We need to walk for about 2 to 3 days. So it's very hard to reach areas. And travel costs include about $1,000, followed by monitoring and evaluation. As most of the cost is for comprehensive training. So total budget would be $10,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question?
Hi, my question is to Joanna and George. Two simple questions. Firstly, what kind of media do you intend to focus on? Print, TV, websites, blogs? And secondly, I understand that you said, complete objectivity is not possible, but I'm interested to know how have you recruited your editors and what's the policy and in terms of objectivity and trying to see what kind of news that they and their analysis.
So, sorry, I was trying to remember your name. I'm sorry. So, basically, we will be looking into written articles from, for example, Der Spiegel in Germany, or The Guardian, or Politico, that is EU-based, in Brussels, for example. We'll be looking into those written articles where we can actually find it's easier and more interesting to find where the propaganda is lying, even if it's less obvious than sometimes on TV, but we can actually analyze it and see where the arguments really lie. So yeah, that's basically what we will do. It's written media.
Yeah, to answer your second question, so we do have quite a sophisticated recruitment procedure, which on the one hand is simply a CV screening, looking if people actually have the qualifications, evidently the interest and the passion. And secondly, they send us template critical reviews. As I said, evidently, for example, I'm quite well read on the area, but still, evidently, I hold my innate ideological views on things. So beyond the competency, beyond the education, the only mechanism that exists for something like this is really peer reviewing. And this is what we do like in a 3-step procedure for really maximizing It's kind of, the synergetic effect of our entire team.
Done. Okay, we have the last question. Is from what was it? From Chiara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm very interested in the media project and the health training project for personal reason. I just have a couple of questions for you then. The first one is for Swechya about the sustainability of the project. Do you think it's sustainable, or because I was thinking maybe you should run a governmental project, like a program funded by the state, rather than create a business, or maybe to set up an NGO. And for George and Joanna, I was wondering, do you think it's, because the review process for the articles would need to go from, I think, like 2 editors, if I'm correct, 3 editors. I think it will take quite a long time in terms of reviewing them. Do you think the article will be still relevant after such a time? And then how many countries and articles are you expecting to review? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Regarding the sustainability of my project, I'm very positive about it. Though initially we are going to start it as an educational project, I believe that local women in the rural areas that I mentioned earlier, that is Kokana and Bugmati, would be able to live on their own in the future. I believe that educating these 2 women with resources that I have and my team is collecting right now, they will be able to benefit for their children, family, and community in the long run. And later on, they can train or educate the people around them. So I think it's sustainable. And regarding funds, I believe that I would be conducting health camps and various other projects with nominal cost in order to make the project more sustainable and efficient. Thank you.
Okay, to answer your first question, we have a time frame of 48 hours post article, like original article publication, to our critical review. This means we count about 5 hours for the actual editor to write this, and about 30 hours for the coordination between chief editor and second editor. So 48 hours evidently isn't, high topicality in our rapid media environment, but this is simply what we need for really fact-checking, for stylistical accuracy. And I mean, really to be on the spot, this is not what we do here. We do a review, so 48 hours, we saw it's kind of the middle ground that's acceptable. And in terms of density of publications, at the moment we aim at no more than 1 article per day, 1 critical review per day, because we only have 12, with soon going to be 14 country editors. But as this increases, we're recruiting at the moment, we're going to go up to 3-4 articles per day. And, changing countries, changing stories, but always with this EU-Russia focus.
Excuse me, if I may, just short question. May I?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. This is also to George and Olivera. Where are you going to find the facts, to make some critical review of those articles?
We check them online. There are, for example, Politico, this newspaper that is EU, but it's based in Brussels. It was a news article about the way Russia was actually investing in atomic nuclear energy, and it was stating that Russia was investing massively, way more than the United States. And then we have to fact check that we go on Google, we go on several blogs, and since from the moment on we find that this fact is not the same in several articles, we actually then we can conclude immediately or not that this is not true, because statistical data and other kinds of documents, and then we can conclude this that is mentioned as a fact, that Russia is investing way more now in atomic and nuclear energy than the United States for the last 5 to 10 years. And then we check on data and statistical data and other portals. And if we have more than, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 portals that are saying exactly the opposite as, for example, Politico was stating, then we can conclude that Politico, this journalist that actually wrote the news piece, is propagating against Russia, for example. I don't know.
Like really just 10 seconds. Evidently there's a lot of statistical data as well that is in itself already, prefabricated. So we have, databases like Google Scholar and so on for historical facts, but if we look into the, into the Malaysian plane, into the plane crash, for example, where data is actually really scarce, we obviously have to keep ourselves back. Like we don't want to add anything that is not 100% empirically verifiable. So we really just tackle factual inaccuracies that are blatant and that are definitely, that we can actually prove or find reliable sources for them being wrong.
Thank you. We come back again once to our experts, giving the final remarks and feedback for all of you.
For you, just be careful with the facts. And for you guys, amazing ideas, and hopefully, if even not in this event, but somewhere else, you also can find some, support. Maybe some also people can be involved in your activities. Just share and believe yourself.
Well, Yulia said pretty much everything in general. I don't know. All of your projects, respectful projects, are very good, each in every own way. And I wish you luck. You gave your best to show us and to present us your work. And we will see. I wish you all luck. But stay positive and don't lose your hope if some of you are not successful in this event, then try more. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Thomson. Yeah.
It's just a general comment that touches on everybody, because I think these are 3 really solid ideas, well thought out, convincing, and it's a good sign that we don't actually have a lot of more questions. You've been quite comprehensively dealt with them. I'm just thinking about kind of instead of sort of reinventing the wheel in some cases, about to what extent, I'm wondering to what extent you've seen similar projects which you can link up with around the world. And I'm thinking about, for example, with Swechya, this is a model that we've seen in working pretty well in different places. I'm a firm believer in training the trainers, to reach a greater number of people. It's net impact socially, and it's very, very powerful, There might be a way, as a suggestion, to simply get more exposure by linking up with a network of people that are similarly minded with similar projects and pooling knowledge. You don't have to do it all yourself. There's a lot of resources out there as well, and you can share the exposure and find synergies that way, on a global level. And likewise with Joanna and George, I feel pretty strongly about this as well. Being Scottish and kind of seeing during the referendum campaign how they kind of, even this apparently impartial BBC was almost blatantly partisan of several articles. It really, and what I found was that there is a great need for this, and I think that we've finally got a chance to call media to account a little bit. And I wonder as well if, to what extent that you guys can be part of a wider movement, to create impetus behind this, to actually draw attention on a global level, so that there is something, because it's not just the Russia-Ukraine situation. There's several comparable situations around the world, in emotionally charged situations where partisan writing arises, and again, whether you can reach out and connect with other organizations to have more strength together, because it's an important message. And likewise with Ilya, I think this is a great idea. It really is, in terms of mediation. I wonder as well about, a lot of the things that are happening in the United Nations, not just with conciliation, but with reconciliation, and very, very powerful processes of mediation that are taking place as well. and whether or not that there is some kind of wider group that you could reach out to as well. It's just my way of thinking, you know, that there's a lot of similar projects out in the world, and we're stronger together, and we have the platforms to do it. So it's just a comment. But thanks so much for everything you've said today.
Well, since we get the second chance of advice, one more, okay, to you. Getting to the facts and becoming objective, this is an illusion. So it's an illusion. Because the facts of the Malayan airplanes depends who you ask, and then they get completely different and very convincing. So you know that better than me. So here is the advisory board I was telling you, okay? So you will be impartial accordingly to a team of people respectful that will meet with the editors once in a while, and the editors would know that this is what we believe. We are pro objectivity, but and then it's also speeding the problem that they mentioned here, because the editors, they don't need to be re-edited so many times. They are fired. That's what they are if they don't do it right. Okay. So, and then the board is the one that is like more in touch with them once a while, twice a year, something like that. So this is the economist opinion. And then you write, and that's the idea, to be impartial. Impossible to be impartial, you will be criticized, and that would be the thing. Round for our doctor. I'm sure that you are aware of helps, for instance, from Europe Aid. And so Europe Aid, like the health organization, they continuously publish empowering women. This is a main issue in Europe Aid. So empowering, now I saw yesterday actually an empowering women project in Lebanon. So it would be similar to that. So the thing is to keep an eye continuously, systematically. Getting your favorites in Google, favorites, Europe Aid, health organization, and then in the morning before coffee you check if there is a project. Then this is easy. Spot projects is very easy. What is difficult is to win them. So you need also to establish a technique. Whilst you take care of doctors, make sure that you have somebody bright that is checking continuously. Not the project easy, because they offer alarm systems, so they send you a WhatsApp, an email telling that there is a project. But winning them, it takes it's a heavy-duty thing. But you should get there. Of course, ONG, they ask here. Yes, definitely. Normally, these projects, they are non-profit organizations. So you have to create a non-profit organization. It doesn't mean that you don't make money. It means that the organization doesn't make money. But the people working for the NOGs, they all make money. So this is something I would establish as a system. If you really want to continue, do that. Start having alarm systems for projects from health organizations, etc., because empowering women is definitely one of those that is on and on. And for Ilya, my comment also online what I said before, I think that society has a certain also conflict that needs conciliation. I mean, if you ask somebody, what society do when you are an archaeologist? Oh, you only can be teacher. What about if you are a painter? Oh, you only can be teacher. You are not going to make your living. So we also have to conciliate society. So advertising society towards accepting all these professions as willing to be job creation, and that is also a needed thing that can be added in your conciliation system. So this is my 3 comments I would like to make.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you from you presenters as well.